Hello, this is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevalier. This is a third video. This video, in summary, will address normal pursuit and alignment of long-term sexual relationship and children in adult cohort based on such in animals that do not mistake same species for different species, and it is to prevent such happening in humans because of non-pursuit and dwelling in fantasy, because of lack of recognition of reciprocity of such relationship, pending delight in explicit declaration of love of that female, and change to a different female because that female has a different partner, as opposed to aggression of killing called serial killing. This is material meant for persons to remediate confusion to identity in lack of self-recognition that warrants non-pursuit derived from loving a person remotely or in person, presenting a relationship as something else than love, and changes that prompt assumption of opposite gender identity instead of pursuit of such person, or then pursuit of such person to kill, consume, place as a trophy, or place as a stripped of characteristics body on self to wear. Those are three most common ones in persons that confuse humans, unlike all other species, with animals of other species. That is from a lack of, again, realization of continuum of fantasy, pending confirmation of being in love and wanting a relationship with the specific, unique female in declaration of love and sexual one as such, and then having that defined as serious, meaning for life, and wanting a child of that man as best from all others, as opposed to all others, in enthusiasm and appearance of search of desire for that man, in function of him intentionally pursuing that female as opposed to all others, in goodness to all others, and that woman chosen as preferred from all others to enable relationship of others in their own dynamic selves. That differentiates precognition from fantasy, that person declares, I also dream about you, and I want you, and love you, and therefore your actions to win me over do not need elimination of others, because there is no other. In my mind, what you lived is the same in magnitude of importance and being in love as it is in your mind, and therefore all others are safe to pursue other persons because of possessive love being perfectly fulfilling in sexual act and having children in reciprocity. So we do not pursue persons who reject or prefer someone else. We do not eliminate as obstacles, because that happens in function of one another in two, and is based on a degree of enthusiasm in delight, explicit one, and in wanting to spend time and have child, as presented, manifested as sexual arousal from seeing sexual arousal in that other person. We need to remember that. And precognition is simply fantasy confirmed as I also dream about you, feel the exact same way as you do. Then that is from being subtle, meaning persons at the beginning that are aligned by the ecosystem in close appetite physiologic functions to share household, acknowledge such in space, sync one another, start fantasizing about lovemaking and having family or being pregnant in delight of the other together, and fantasy pending in meeting as dating, cognizing of such happening in the other, from precognition becomes cognition, and that in subtle form becomes wearing the same clothes to see if that person wants to manifest the other as significant other, going out together and showing tenderness together, instinct to provide all one has, and share and demand such of the other as luxuries, and also secondary pursuit to enable the male to pursue that female as preferred for sex when man is harmed, trapped, or sick, which is harmed as well, or is in some way unsure of that woman's intentions, which is called seduction, meaning demonstration of what you do to me, meaning your presence and sexual arousal causes in me lighter clauses being trustful and wanting you to court me and protect from others. And that is mistaken with victimship, especially by sometimes women who assume a role of rival, primal rival, not wanting so. So, as experts, be mindful if that man is of primal interest to you to have children, because if not, criticism and downgrading the other female creates such impression, and that man will be angry if rejected, or will be trying to pursue as primal partner, wasting time of that female or that man. My book and consulting consist of clarification that we all mean best for one another when we realize that we are in non-competition to one another other than comparative one based on own instinct that guides action, delight versus rejection, and delight versus aversion in self. That is all, and that noted in the other. So first I'm gonna describe fantasy, what happens and prompts then narcissism, malignant self-love, sociopathy, and persons that look and need so-called egoic supply to have self-worth. This is derived from romantic love, assumed as impossible and non-pursued, or pending impediments caused by others, pursued first in harm to others, and secondary in pursuit of the right person. It can be that family is involved and impedes such, demanding love or care that is as sexual as superior, the same as priests and churches or authorities, which is non-instinctive and wrong. And there is place for parallel such relationships when these assist and help forming of families lasting ones to the best of outcomes for all, as well as pursuit of children and enablement of such and safety of such children loved by parents in proportion of loving one another, and later on in a remedial way when the relationship was confused or did not work or included the violence more than actually that parent, which does not warrant continuation of unwanted or harmful relationship and should be also addressed, divorces enabled and separation enabled in freedom of choice of preferred partners each. Let's start with fantasy. Fantasy is in fact pending only confirmation of the same happening to the opposite gender person in pursuit of lasting sexual relationship called marriage. So that is the difference. Confirmation, same is happening. If lies occur, that confuses then what is fantasy that is devoid of specific characteristics of that person, general ones, such as I would want to have one day a relationship. That person looks as handsome as the other ones, not being in love or determined to pursue specific persons or wanting to be pursued by a specific person, versus oriented one, which is more dangerous when others try to separate, when person lies about it, and that is now the focus. Lying about it while leaving relationship in mind causes that the two persons have fake based on appearances and dangerous to one another relationships with someone else, impeding that other person's personal happiness and pursuit of own happiness in such way, and also create workplaces and schooling that is fictitious to true intentions. And it is rarely the case that it is in fact preferred to have work or schooling when person in fact fantasizes about the other one as being significant rather other in reciprocity, and the other one lies about it. Why? Because if that person is absent, the activity can be preferred 100% over all other activities and other persons. However, in presence of such persons, the magnitude of love is such that persons stop paying attention to what is happening and dream, fantasize about being together, or engage in sexual arousal and love that is impeded only by social structures, and fantasize about children and have these elevated states that are not to be separated from relationships and called tantric realizations or sexual bliss, because these are different when they are religious and possible to generalize to all who experience analogous states but with different individuals, and states also that generate gratitude and love for family, workers, and all other persons, same and opposite gender. I will now describe fantasy pending confirmation that motivates persons to accept sexual advances of a man, in mind how to know when that person actually can pursue, and in mind to know who to pursue to be accepted. What mind content of own tells you about who to pursue for the greatest rate of success, and then when it is that it is rejected. That will be in the next video, because I have only 3 minutes left on this one.